And welcome to our live today, where I'm joined with Matt, one of our speakers for our online summit in 2 weeks, and Annetta, my co-host. We're gathering today to do a little deep dive into what Matt is really going to offer us in this live summit. And to begin with, I thought I would just give a bit of a lowdown. As a lot of people have been asking, what really is the summit? What are you going to learn? What transformation are you actually going to get? And I get it. You want to know what you're buying into, and you want to know what transformation you're going to get. So Annetta and I were thinking, okay, yeah, we do have to break this down for you. So basically, when I was just looking at our speakers, we have 7 speakers, and it's not just a summit for an hour or 2. Matt's speech is going to be 45 minutes. And we have 7 speakers, and each speaker has this 45-minute slot. It's definitely not going to be like speaking at you. We want to get this like community connection vibe going on. We're spending the whole day together, right? We want to build up a lovely connection. So that's already the first thing. And there's going to be breaks in between each speaker. And I'm going to be doing some tapping with you, meditation, qigong, and yoga. As a yoga teacher and a qigong teacher, I love just even doing 10 minutes of it brings you so much good energy. So I really want to just guide you through these small sessions that then you can take into your toolbox and just do during the day whenever you need a little break and pick me up. So what are you going to go away from this summit with? You're going to rewire yourself. When we talk about rewiring yourself, it means that we're all conditioned in some way or form, right? From our childhood, from our parents, from society. And basically, if I have to crack down our summit, it's about rewiring your heart and your mind and your nervous system so that everything can function in a more balanced and holistic way for you. So we have speakers that a relationship coach, so she's going to be rewiring your heart to attract your dream partner. We have a faith coach, so she's rewiring your past so that you can forget, forgive, and move on. We have a divorcee, so she's also going to be talking about how to rewire from heartbreak and turn that into creativity. And yeah, so basically I was just thinking to myself, how can I really summarize it? I guess it's like a rewiring shift into your true alignment, into who you are and who you want to be, which brings us very lovely to Matt's topic. Because what does it even mean to be authentically you? Like, what does it even mean, authenticity, these days? I think a lot of us look around us for this validation, this external need to be like others. But we're here to kind of invite you into looking within. Who do you want to be? What your values are? And what your mission is, what your purpose is. I think a lot of people don't really figure this out or know how to figure it out. So the 3 of us are here to hold your hand and to get you there. So yeah, that was just a little lowdown. If you're joining us today, feel free to, get the conversation started, ask us any questions. But I'm going to ask now, Matt and Annetta, if I were to say what authenticity means to you on a personal level, how would you be able to respond to that?
I'll let you go first, Matt.
So many different ways to respond.
Yeah.
I think so, which makes it a very easy and a very difficult question all at once, right? Because there's so many answers, but having to select one is, I think authenticity, I would define it as when there is alignment between who we believe we are, who we want to be, and our day-to-day actions. If we can get alignment between those 3 things, I believe authenticity is a natural byproduct. It's when we don't have alignment between those three things, we find ourselves constantly putting on different masks for different moments, right? So whether, well, I'm doing this now and it's not really what I want to do, it's not who I am, but I have some sort of excuse as to why I have to be this way right now. And then, because let's say it's a business meeting, and then when the business meeting is over, I have to call my wife, and now I have a new mask on, and I'm in this situation, I have a new mask on. But at some point, I think it's about establishing what I would call, internal integrity about who we are, and do our actions, not only who we are, who we want to be, and do our actions align with that.
Very well summarized. I assume that in our summit you'll be giving us, I don't know, kind of like a strategy or like framework that you've come up with
That's
authenticity,
that's
or
right, and I also 100% guarantee that everyone will leave the summit feeling 100% authentic for the rest of their lives.
whoa, that is a big promise.
I mean, it's a journey, not a destination, right? I mean, it's and even people, like, one of the hardest things for me to speak or write about this topic is having to come to terms with the fact that I don't have this figured out, right? So, like, I'm a student on the journey, just discussing with other students along the journey, right? So I maybe someday I'll have it figured out. Today's not that day, and I doubt the summit will be that day either. But I've spent a lot of time thinking about it and writing about it and talking to other people. So I'm hopeful that, the things that we talk about and the things that we share will resonate with people, and it'll be resonate, even in the most successful of outcomes. It's going to resonate with everyone differently, right? It's kind of like if we had a summit that said, "Hey, repair your car engine," and then if somebody called us ahead of time and said, "Well, what are you going to do to my engine? Is it going to be the alternator? Is it going to be the spark plug?" It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with your car. So come up, bring the car in. Let's talk about it. And you can help diagnose when you listen to the things that are often wrong with a car that make you feel a certain way. But this isn't a diagnostic tool that we're going to, plug in the computer stick and then tell you, oh, you need to meditate 10 minutes every evening, and then you'll be on your way.
I love that. Yeah, it just shows there's no one way for everyone. We're all so unique. Yeah.
Example that you use, though, because it's so true. And this summit will get as much value to you as much as you're willing to receive. Like a lot of times we go into a meeting or we listen to an audio and we just expect it to fix us. Like there is no magic pill. So you're only going to receive as much as you're allowing yourself to receive from it. And for me, being authentic and living in full authenticity is accepting who you are and where you're at. You know, one of the biggest game changers for me, for my mindset, was I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And that's something to be grateful for. So just understanding that we don't have everything figured out, but we can share with one another where we are on our journey and be there for each other and uplift each other and help each other grow. So you're going to get out of this summit from what you're willing to receive. If you're going to take in it all, or are you just gonna put it in one ear and put it out the other and then move on and say, what did I learn? Or are you actually gonna communicate and integrate with the community? Because the community and networking with people is such a huge key to success in any area. I'm somebody who can be introverted at first. I don't want to always talk to people when I'm in community settings. But when I open myself up and say, I never know who I'm talking to in here. I never know who can help uplift me. And I go start talking to people. 9 times out of 10, I don't regret it because I meet incredible people, but I have to be open to it first if I want to meet them.
That's great.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of people, though, don't realize they are ready because it's like the fear maybe so loud that they're not able to establish what is right for them. And I get it. We live in a very noisy world. So why do they have to go to our summit and not the 100 summits that are probably on at the same time, right? Like there is a mass of information being thrown at us, not just daily, but every minute. And it's kind of going back to what Matt said before. It's about you choosing which daily actions are the best for you and suited for you. And you'll only know that when you join us. And if you already follow us on Substack and you follow our journey and you resonate with us, then you know you'll resonate with us in this weekend, you know? And I think the key factor there I just wanted to also point out is that always allow trust to override the fear when you're being pushed out of your comfort zone, you know, because, you know, like Anaka was also just saying, you will only do the best and get the best out of something if you are willing. And where there is a will, there's a way, right? Like that's what they say. And that's the first key step in anything, you know, authenticity and rewiring your heart and your brain and your mind. You need the first step of awareness. And that's where we're all here to hold hands together and make it essentially easier. Because when you're on your own, it is harder to grapple with. But when you're in a community of people that have different resources from different fields, doesn't mean we've all got it figured out, like Matt and Annetta are saying, right? We're not the gurus, but we all have our own unique abilities that we can bring together. And surely you do too. And that's also what we want to do in the summit, not just talk at you, but talk with you. Yeah. So, why is your topic authenticity, Matt? What led you there?
Yeah, so I think it is at if the things that I think about, write about, talk about were a pyramid, authenticity would be the base.
Okay.
It's a prerequisite to, in my opinion, our best selves, our mental health, to, you know, not in a non-clinical sort of description. Just because it's hard enough to live this life. Um, and why are we doing it in character as well? Meaning, like, you know, it's, if we can figure out a way to acknowledge that, hey, life is tough, I have challenges ahead of me, but I'm going to do it in a way that is respectful and consistent with who I am. Like, you know, everyone else is already taken up. Like, we don't need another we don't need another Grayson. We don't need another Annetta, right? We have two. The world is blessed with Annetta and Grace right here, right? And it takes a lot of energy for us to acknowledge that we're not trying to be someone else. We're just trying to live this life. Because even if we're successful, right? So, and even, let's say you put on a mask, you do what you think other people expect you to do, or your industry expects you to do, and let's say you're conventionally successful. If you don't, if you're doing it as someone other than yourself, do we really think we're going to enjoy that success much? Yeah, it's almost it's stereotypical, right? How many movies do we see about like the movie star who, at the end of his or her career, feels like they sacrificed too much of themselves to get what they thought they wanted, right? So, you know, taking a step back and creating the foundation to not only be authentic, but here's the real tricky part: to be authentically authentic. I mean, there's a big difference there, right? So, like when I meet someone, initially, I don't know if they're authentically authentic or not. In fact, I may never know. Only they know. And so I think sometimes even like so if you're not mindful of this at all, we'll call you at a step zero. And if you're, you know, you're watching this from your armchair in nirvana, we'll call that 100. So, you know, somewhere between 0 and 100, that's where you're at. And even if we can't tell, you can, you know if you're being authentic or not. And I don't um somewhere along the way, I lost sight of that, meaning I wanted people to appreciate me. And I found out that people appreciated me when they thought I was being authentic and vulnerable. So I learned how to act authentically and I act vulnerable throughout my lifetime because people responded well to that. But that wasn't me being authentic. That was me learning how to play the game, so to speak. And I never said that to myself. I'm not that manipulative. I never said like, "Oh, I'm gonna put on a mask and I'll fool them all." But with the power of hindsight, I realized that's exactly what I was doing. And some people might even have called me like, "Oh, I really like Matt. He's very authentic." Well, okay, that's great for other people, but I want to explore what does it feel like to have the peace, the internal peace that comes along with identifying what is the game of life to you? What are your rules? What are your objectives? How do you keep score? And that's very, very personal. And quite frankly, it might end up with you being at odds with other people, meaning most of us aren't our authentic selves, not because we don't want to be, but because somewhere along the way, we learned that, oh, you got to act this way in this context, and you have to act this way in this setting, and you have to act this way. So if I stop doing that, not out of disrespect to our social norms or other people, but other people will take notice, and a lot of times they won't like it. And that's a whole separate topic. But that's one of the things that I think we need to um, discuss during this summit is what are the stakes here? Meaning, like, if it was that simple of just saying, "Yep, go ahead, be yourself, you're fixed," like we would all do it, right? I mean, there's nothing but success on the other side of authenticity. Whether you're talking about our favorite singers, our favorite music, favorite writers, our favorite movies, we crave authenticity. So if it's such a successful tactic,
Yeah.
why is it such an endangered or limited resource? And I'd like to explore that a little bit because if we think it's just a matter of a light switch type principle, I think we're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, like everything though, when it comes to self-growth and working on yourself, takes time, commitment, and like discomfort because you do have to just think about it. Like, we're talking about rewiring in our topic, in our summit, the heart, the body, mind, the soul, authenticity. You have to kind of rewire and restructure everything that you've been taught. Like Matt was just saying, like, oh, is that conditioned? Where did that come from? Is that a social norm? Where did that come from? It comes from this contemplative questioning. And I've really noticed for myself the inner reflection is how I have grown so much. Because when I have this inner reflection of before speaking, before reacting, even like Matt, your note that got me, it was so sweet with your son. And you're like, I could have reacted that way, but you didn't react that way. It's like those subtle, literally, it can even be a second sometimes, right? Where you're like, oh no. And that means that you are really in the state of self-awareness and growth because you really are in tune. And I think that's also really lovely that Matt was just kind of saying that in this summit, especially in Matt's talk about authenticity, that it is about taking the time to stop, reflect on what you are and who you want to be. What mask have you been, or what multiple masks have you been carrying for all these years, maybe even decades, that now you cannot do it anymore because we all wear masks. But at some point, I think, Matt, you also said that really well. The social standard of success doesn't actually necessarily mean that you're successful in being you. And isn't that what we should strive for more? Being successful in who we are? Because that's always what I've done. When I graduated from uni, when I was like 22, I was like, I don't want to step into the rat race. I want to do my own thing. I want to follow my heart, pursue my passions, and help people. And that's why I'm still here, because it was such a big passion that like I had to nurture it. I had to get to know myself, get to know why people are stuck. There's so like the majority of people are just stuck and in a limited mindset. And us three, we're all here working on ourselves and wanting to guide you, but not just guide you in a higher state, in a higher realm, but just as a fellow human being. You know, it doesn't mean that we're better than you in any way. It just means that maybe we've tapped into different states of awareness that can help you tap into those states of more peace of mind. Like Matt was just saying, it does definitely give you more peace of mind when you can just be yourself. Because I don't know about you guys, but I can tell when people are fake. Like, I'm just like, oh, why are they doing that? Like, I do look at them and I feel sorry for them. Like, I notice it straight away and I'm like, I would love to know them, you know?
Actually,
And
it's
to
funny.
add,
I'm sorry,
sorry,
Nate. Go ahead. No,
no.
no, no. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was just gonna say, add to that, like, it's so exhausting wearing a mask. It's like you're being a person during the day please other people. And then when you go home and you're by yourself, you take that mask off and you don't even have time or energy to do the things you enjoy and be the person that you really are because you've been putting on this mask and this facade that you're somebody, but you're not being authentic to other people because that's how you get into a state of people pleasing by trying to be a different person for every area of your life, and it becomes exhausting. I've been there before. I was burning the stick on both ends because I was trying to be somebody at work, and then I was trying to be somebody else in my relationship. And then I was trying to be somebody else to my parents. And then I forgot who I was. And I was so exhausted and I was so burnt out. So to add on to authenticity, that's what we're creating in our summit as well is that safe space. So you can take the mask off and really connect with people who accept you for who you are and vice versa.
That's well
Right.
said.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Well, I mean, we're all just, this is all just piggybacking on each other's thoughts here. This is good. One of the things I want to dive into during the summit a bit is, as is often the case, if we don't really define what we're trying to accomplish, we'll often make assumptions that aren't true. And so it's my observation that there are way too many assumptions around this topic, right? So it's like, well, who are you? Be your natural self. And it's like, and a lot of us just go, okay, like, and I'm saying, well, time out, time out. What does that even mean? What do you mean be your natural self? I mean, are you suggesting I'm not my natural self? Like I'm trying. I mean, I think we're all trying to. Very few of us will say like, wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to be somebody else today. So trying to really dig down and to better define the problem statement, right? So when we say be yourself, well, you first have to know what that is. And that's
Mhm.
not easy. Like it's not you I think we skip a step when we say, "Hey, I'm not being my authentic self and I want to be. Therefore, step 2, be my authentic self." Like there's a lot of work in between those two things that I think usually come down to being authentic with ourselves. Like I think, and I forget if it was Grace or Annetta who just said that it's frustrating to meet with someone and they're not authentic and you can tell they have a mask on, and we all can do that pretty quickly, which is why we're so drawn to people who are naturally authentic because it's like a breath of fresh air. So if it's that obvious, we know all these downsides to it. It doesn't make us feel good. It doesn't make people around us feel good. It really begs the question, then what the hell is going on? Like who's benefiting from this? Like if you if the people around me they're not getting the benefit, I'm not getting the benefit. So then why are we behaving this way? Right. So and I think it has to do with some assumptions that we make that we picked up as a child and probably never let go of. And I think I would like to spend a good portion of those 40 minutes during the summit kind of exploring what is it that we're trying to answer and what does that look like? And then remind people that, or present for people's consideration the possibility that actualization and sort of internal alignment is not climbing, it's jumping. So we tend to think of work as climbing, right? We're like, okay, next step, next step, next step. And I would contend that it's more about having the faith and the trust to just jump. Because you're really having to trust yourself, trust your system, trust your maker to get to that next level. It's not a climb, it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, Jill says it very true. Protective mechanism may feel unsafe to be true to who they are because you've been that person for so long. So how do you know how to be any different? Like Anetta was saying, like if you've been that person with your parents for all your life, how are you supposed to get out of that now? And I definitely agree, Jill, that it is a protective mechanism because sometimes the nervous system, it really retaliates because it's like you don't want to get hurt. But actually, even in this case, like with attending our summit, you are dedicating yourself, you're investing yourself to grow. And yeah, okay, it doesn't just happen overnight, but it happens the moment that you take away this protective mechanism because you don't have to protect yourself anymore. The moment you know that you're authentic, you know that everyone will be attracted to you. Like Matt was just saying, like when I teach yoga, so many people just come up to me at the end now. Like I don't even have to like say anything because I'm just my authentic self. It's taken me 8 years as a yoga teacher to really be confident on the mat in German and English. But now I've cracked it. And I notice the energy just shifts. I know what I'm doing, so they feel they know what they're doing, and at the end they feel way better. And they're like, "I'm coming next week. Oh, what else do you offer? What else?" And it's just so funny. It's like, wow, is that all it took for me to just be that one slightly bit more confident in my German? And then I'm like, poof, I'm here. I've landed, right? And that's what we're going to make you feel, that you've landed into your safe space, feeling seen and heard with like minded people, as well as knowing that it's okay to not feel like you have to protect yourself anymore. Because being your true and authentic self, it can sound cheesy, but it really is the best way to live your life.
Can I add
Yeah.
something to that? So
Good.
I want to add to that. Yes, it can be a protective mechanism of putting on a mask in front of the people that you're used to. But also as humans, we are meant to grow and change as the years go by. From 5 years old to 10 years old, you're a different person. From 10 years old to 15 years old, you're a different person. And it's normal to evolve. But people who are holding on to the old version of ourselves, they may not want to see us from a new perspective. So yes, it can be a protective mechanism. But if I'm being honest, something that has helped me take that mask off is getting around communities like this and getting around people who want to see you grow and accept you as you grow. It's one thing for someone to accept you, but it's another thing for somebody to accept you as you grow. You know, when I was a teenager, I had a group of friends who enjoyed growth mindsets and enjoyed reading positive books and podcasts. So I was able to embrace another version of myself. And now, what I just moved to another city and I have a new circle of friends here that I've been building with. And it's easier for me to express who I am, and it's easier for me to want to grow with them because they understand and they support. I don't think I would be able to continue evolving like I am now if I didn't have that community of people. If I didn't have people like Grace and Matt who understand that. And that's what it's about, is having that support system, because you can start something on your own, but eventually you're going to need the support of people behind you. Like, for example, if you're solo traveling and entrepreneurship, they're similar, even though they're two different concepts. You may start alone, but you're not going to end alone. When you solo travel, you get on that plane by yourself and then you go to the country and you meet people and you grow and you evolve. When you're an entrepreneur, you start a business by yourself, and then as you grow, you meet people and you evolve. And that's how you grow and find like-minded people. And you're gonna need more support the more you grow. So that's why we highly encourage this. And that's why we're creating these spaces. It's not entirely for us, it's for you guys. It's so you guys can grow and step into your power and step into your purpose. Because we all have a purpose on this earth, and it's to serve one another in some way, shape, or form. So the least we can do is create a safe space for you guys to become your best self.
Wow, really well said. Two thoughts that I'd like to add. One is there's
Okay.
also a trap here that I think we're going to draw attention to during the summit. And I think we've all met the type of person that I'm about to describe. It's this very self-confident, self-assured person who just tells it like it is, right? It could be your sister and you're home for the holidays and she says, "Oh, where'd you get that jacket from?" And like, "Whoa, I'm just telling you, it looks horrible on you." "Well, you don't want the truth? You know me. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I'm my authentic self, and I am who I am." And that just that drives me nuts because that is not living authentically. Oh, really? So your authentic person is hurting other people's feelings. That's who you authentically are, and I just have to deal with that. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a journey. We're all on it. It's
Yeah.
all hard for all of us, including this fictional sister that I just referenced. So I'm not being judgmental, but I'm human too. And so when I meet that type of person, it's a real turnoff for me because I know I kind of get a sense of what's happening. This person had the journey that we're just discussing right now, and they think they found the finish line. Like, oh, you just say whatever the hell you want to say. Just say whatever's on your mind. And you tell everyone, and it kind of assumes that growth um, can be static at times, and it never is static. I don't think there's any. I can't say like, oh, it's just who I am. Yeah, someone was saying just moments ago, like we're different now than we were 5 years ago, and 10 years ago. We're different now than we were yesterday. So to assume that attitude of like, well, I'm a finished product, and you get what you see type attitude, just it's a trap. And there's a lot of people out there that would, if answering a survey, would say on a scale of 1 to 10, how authentically do you live your life? And they'd say 10, and I would say, okay, you say so. But I don't think that's true. I think you've convinced yourself that brutal honesty is the same thing as authenticity, and it is not. Unless you're just authentically interested in hurting other people's feelings, I don't think that's likely true in many of those circumstances. The other thing I wanted to say is that it starts with we talk about authenticity as it relates to our behavior with others, right? But it starts with us, meaning like I can't be authentic with the two of you now if I'm not authentic with myself before I go to bed as I'm reflecting. And that's hard. I mean, we all and I'm trying not to be judgmental because it's a tough road for all of us. But we all think that we do a pretty good job of being self-reflective about who we are and what's important to us and that kind of stuff. But my experience, especially with myself, is actually that we're actually not that good at it. There are places in our own minds that we won't even let ourselves go. Right. So like if a particular person acts, let's say, unkind to us, it's really, really difficult to say, well, geez, I must have contributed to this some way. And, even if it's just someone we don't even know, a cashier at a grocery store. Um, I think there's a type of cognitive bias associated with this. I think it's called the inferential bias, maybe, where, anything that involves us, we assign to external factors, right? So if I'm late to a movie and I'm bothering everyone who's already in their seats, well, it was because there was traffic or my boss kept me late. It was beyond my control. Whereas if I'm sitting in the movie and I'm on time and somebody shows up late and they're walking in front of me, I attribute all these things to them. Like, oh, they're lazy, they're selfish, it's a very common thing that we do. We don't challenge ourselves enough, in my opinion, right? We give ourselves a pass as we should in terms of being gentle with ourselves. But when it's time to really dig deep and really reflect, when there are no stakes, there's no one in the room, we're not trying to solve a problem. It's not specific. It's just about thinking about who I am, what matters to me, and how I'm living my life. I think one or both of you said, well, you gotta be willing to get uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. And I'm not talking about other people. I'm not talking about giving a public speech in front of 3,000 people. I'm talking about you in your bedroom with nobody else there. Like, get uncomfortable there. And we all could do. I mean, if you sat at the edge of your bed and you just said, "All right, Matt, what am I screwing up? What am I really? I mean, just not at work, not at writing, just in my life. What am I screwing up?" There's an answer there if I'm willing to listen to myself, right? Um, but we got to be willing to get uncomfortable. And to be willing to get uncomfortable, we have to identify what are the stakes, because it's so easy to avoid it. That why would just because Matt and Etta and Grace said it's good for us, I'm supposed to be uncomfortable in my own bedroom? Why? And so that's one of the things I'd like to explore in this summit is like, why are we even doing this in the first place? And then lastly, um, I would challenge you, and we won't answer this now, but we'll explore it during the summit. When we say be yourself, what exactly does that mean? Like, so for example, can we imagine a circumstance under which, in a particular setting, any of us have different thoughts, emotions, and actions, right? So we're thinking one thing, we're feeling another thing, but we're behaving a different way, right? I'm just making something up. We get into a car accident, and our first thought is, what a jerk, how stupid is this person, blah, 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 right? My action um, maybe to be very kind, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. And then my emotion may be one of being scared, right? So in that instance, I have three different personalities happening in my thoughts, my emotions, and my actions. Who am I? Likely a combination of all those three. But if I don't take some time to reflect on those three categories of things e- as just a way of living life, I think we sidestep the question of who am I, because it's such a hard question. Um, even if there was a path on how to do it, it's hard enough. Never mind without the path. So I'm hoping to provide a path for us to dissect into what does it really mean to say, be yourself. I mean, what does that look like? If somebody gave my high school teacher gave me that as an exam, what would I write down on a piece of paper?
It's
Yeah.
really well said. Yeah.
Yeah. It resonates now more than ever because even in our adult selves, we have to rekindle, reorient ourselves daily. I mean, it's even said that our cells regenerate every 48 hours. So we are basically new people every 2 days. And when I read that, I was just like, whoa. And I like the way that you just explained these categories of the mind, your body, and your emotions, because that's what I am as a holistic healer. I have gone with the mind, the spirit, and the body and kind of brought it all together so that I harmonize and that we balance. Because when you're balanced, you're able to actually regulate yourself way better. That if you were in this car crash, you wouldn't be angry straight away. You wouldn't have all of these crazy emotions to battle with because you come back to yourself. And at the end of the day, it's that. How are you able to be yourself in every moment of the day so that you are aligned with what you're doing, what you're saying, and what you're thinking? And when you are, miracles happen. I swear, everything is just working for me. It's working for us, and we want everything to work for you. And that is why, essentially, we are bringing you our summit to rewire your heart, your mind, your body, and your brain so that you are able to be your authentic self. And like Matt was saying, we'll really dive deep into what does that even mean for you on that level, and how are you supposed to get there to live a life that's aligned with your authentic self. Yeah. this has been a great live. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We would love to see you in our online live summit, which is taking place on Saturday, the 24th of May and Sunday, the 25th. Matt will be with us on the 25th, on the Sunday in the morning at 10 a.m., I think. And it will be pretty, a big deep dive because it's 6 hours a day. If you can't attend the whole time, that's absolutely okay. We do have a replay. But as I said, we will take breaks all the time in between every talk so that we can also get to know each other. And as I said, I'll also be offering the tapping, meditation, qigong, yoga, dance, so that we can just really work through what we're learning, release what we no longer need, and receive what we want to live our authentic lives. So thank you for joining us on this live. It's been really great. And I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. And we can't wait to see you at our summit.
See you then. Bye, guys.
Hi, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.